Hello, FlossTube. Welcome. This is CheekyMare, Libby, if you prefer. And this is a channel about cross stitch, a little bit of weaving, and some quilting. But mostly cross stitch. I want to thank all of you new subscribers. There have been several that have come over from other channels, and I appreciate you subscribing and joining my little FlossTube family. Currently, as of this taping, I'm at 424 subscribers, and this is my 11th video. So when I get to 12, I'd love to have 500. So if you could share or do anything you can to help me with that, that would be so awesome. When I get to 500, whether it be next month or this month, or next month or the future, I will do a giveaway of a 1, 2, 3 stitch gift. So I'm excited. Super, super excited. Thank you so much for your participation in this journey. So this month, I didn't do a whole lot of stitching. We were just super hectic at work. And so most of my free time has been going to overtime, which is nice for the pocketbook, but not always nice for the stitching community. So I do have a few WIPs to show with actually quite a bit of progress. It's just I didn't feel like it was stitched a whole lot. I don't know. Maybe I had more stitching time than I realized. I don't know. You be the judge. Anyway, and then I'm also going to do a mid-year WIP parade of the WIPs that I have touched this year. And then that's going to motivate me to touch the ones that haven't been touched this year. So let's get started. So my June WIPs, I showed one of them last month, because I recorded late, which I'm recording late again, but that's okay. But you'll see it again in the mid-year WIP parade. But here are the other ones. So the first one I did this month after my last recording was Anne Grimshaw 1818 by the Scarlet Letter on a 56 count pearl gray by Barbara Creations, 1/2 color and cotton dark truffle. And this is one of my favorite WIPs, actually. I had to rip out a whole bunch. So it was in timeout for a little while, but I finally got all of the ripping done and finally got to stitch again. So here's where it was last time. Sorry, the picture's a little wonky. I'm bad at the picture thing. And here it is now. So as you can see, I had partial done of these letters and some of this motif done, but I got all of this done and this second line of letters. So pretty. It's not really showing the true color right now. It's more of a purple than a gray. And the brown dark truffle is that's better. That's more what we want there, up top here. The dark truffle color and cotton is this beautiful like red, purple, brown that I wish my hair color was naturally. I've dyed it that color a couple times, but if it was just natural, I wouldn't have to bother. Anyway, so pretty. And I got a surprise in the mail a couple months ago of a fabric that is the color of the thread. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a similar Quaker sample, and I'm going to do a photo negative of this to be like a partner, but it'll have to be another sampler. Anyway, Okay. The next WIP that I have to show you for June, even though we're halfway through July. Oh, goodness. Is Blue Sampler by Prim of Copenhagen. It's on a 40 count mallow, 1/2 with a week's dye works Blackberry. This is where it was last time. And I start all over the place, but I think my favorite starting point is bottom right, because it's best for my Q-snap frame style. I've got a lap frame that I stitch with, and it's the easiest place to get to. Anyway, so there's where it was last time, and here it is now. And as you can see, I finished this flower. I started this flower, although I'm calling them blackberries because I like blackberries better than flowers. And I started this second flower that will look like that when it's done. So not a whole lot of progress, but a little chunk, which is nice. Okay. The next WIP is one of my 2 full coverages. I'm not a big fan of full coverage. I mean, it's beautiful, but I mean, and the people who stitch them, I love that they love doing it. But most of the time, I find it that it would be cheaper for me to just buy the artwork. So maybe that's a little cynical, a little, I don't know what, but anyway, so I don't do a whole lot of full coverage, but the one I have 2, and they're both Harry Potter related. And, so the one I did is, Prisoner of Azkaban by Frogwood Manor. And I like this one because I'm very against disabling, or like, not disabling, but deconstructing books, because I could buy a Harry Potter book and take off the cover art and frame that, but I'm against dismantling books. So this particular one is why I'm doing a full coverage, because I love the artwork, and Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite. Of the 7 books, it's my favorite. So anyway, it's on 25 count easy grid, 1/2 with the called for DMC. Here's where it was last time. This is most of the, it's not all of the design, but this is where I was going to work. So that's why I didn't. I'm bad at picture taking. So anyway, so here's where it is the last time you saw it. And here it is now. So I've been doing a little bit of what Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, has been doing, and picking, I don't do it exactly the way she does it, but picking a top color symbol and working it throughout. And then, as you can see, this is a very small full coverage. It's, a couple inches by maybe a foot. Anyway, so, let's see here. So I got some of the trees in, and a little bit more of the water near the lake, and some, you can't really tell, but some points in here by the Whomping Willow. I think I did 2 colors, maybe 3. These full coverages wear me out a little bit. Even though this is a teeny tiny one, and I envy those women and men stitchers. Those stitchers, I'll just use the generic term, who can do the full coverages, but it's just so slow going for me. And with my tendency to want to start things, it would just overwhelm me because I'm not a monogamous stitcher by any stretch of the imagination, obviously, because I've got like 25 WIPs, but I do get overwhelmed if I have too many things started. So, but more power to you if that's the way you like to stitch. Okay, so now we're going to do the mid-year WIP parade, and these are all the WIPs that I've touched this year. These are not all my WIPs. I did leave one at home, but it's a little one, so hopefully it'll be done this year. But anyway. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is Mermaids Poly by Courtney Collection. This is at least my fan favorite. It may not be your fan favorite, but it's my fan favorite. It's on a 26 count Golden Honey by Barbara Creations, 1/2 by Silken Colors, and it's Asian Plum is the colorway. And this Golden Honey by Barbara Creations is such a rich, luscious color. And here it is. So I've done quite a bit of work this year. I've gotten 2 page finishes and working on the 3rd here. But there's like 25 pages because this is one of the first patterns I purchased when I was first starting to cross stitch 2 years ago, I guess. 2019 is when I started. And so I got the big print because I use paper and pencil still. I got the big print, and so, this is a page, and on 56 count, with itty bitty stitches. This big is a lot of stitches. It's not just 100 stitches like it might look like on a 28 count or something. Anyway. Okay. The next WIP is Fairy Flora, and some of these you will probably remember from last month's video, but I felt bad that I didn't have a whole lot to show you, and everyone seems to be doing a mid-year WIP parade, at least a lot of the channels that I've been watching. So Fairy Flora by Mirabilia, and it is on 32 count barnwood, 2/2, and I got this barnwood from my local needle workshop, Always in Stitches in Noblesville, Indiana. And here she is. So pretty. So this is a little more than halfway around the border, and I'm nowhere near finished with her because obviously there's that whole dress to do. But I think she's beautiful. And I'm hoping to get a little bit more progress on her this year. The next WIP is Tree of Hope also by Mirabilia. It is on a 32 count tarnished silver, 2/2, with the called for DMC and water lily silks. And I said something last time on my last video that what's on the chart for this color, this like blue-green color, is not correct. You should go to the Mirabilia site and they have a correction for you. So the called for, quote unquote, is called tiramisu, and it's a light pale peachy color, and it doesn't look like what the model is. So go to Mirabilia's website and check to see what the correction is if you're gonna stitch this before you buy your floss. But here is where it is. I've been doing the silks mainly because I like working with silks 1/1 or 1/2, but I don't like working with silks 2/2. And because this is on 32 count, 2/2 is what is required. And so I've been trying to get the silks done because it's my least, they're too slippery. They're beautiful and worth doing. It's just, they're too slippery and they slip off my needle when it's two strands rubbing together. I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but I seem to. Okay, the next WIP is my oldest WIP. It'll probably be my oldest WIP for a while because it's huge. But it is Lady and Unicorn by Thea Governor on 27 count. I think it's Rust Jobelin, but it's the kit Jobelin, and it's with kit fabric. I don't remember stitching that. Oh well. So here she is. Zoom out a little bit. A lot. Okay. So she's a big girl. I'll switch views here in a second and try and show all of it. But I'm about, I think, 1/3 of the way done. Not by, I'm more than 1/3 by page finishes, but most of the rest of the pages are super dense stitching. So this is where I worked. This is where I worked mostly. This is where I've been working mostly. Let's do a full cam. Oh, there she is. Oh, glory. Oh, can't really show you everything. She's the reason I started cross stitching. So pretty. Okay. Whoops. All right. The next WIP you also saw last month is, this is what I started in June. And it is Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions on a 40 count cream, 1/2 and specialty stitches. 1/2 for the cross stitches and then 1/2 for the specialty stitches. Or 1/, required for the specialty stitches. And I'm using a bunch of Silken Colors and XJU in purples and blues and greens because those are more my, I love rainbows, but they're not, rainbows aren't really in my decorating style. So I, except for at work, I have a lot of rainbows at work. I just noticed that. But this is too pretty to hang at work. So here's where it is. It hasn't changed from the last time we saw it. It's so pretty. And as you can see, I get bored. And I wanted to see how the colors played nicely together. And the yellow works okay. But it's mainly just texture. But just beautiful. All right. The next WIP is another Thea Governor, Mother of God. I am not using the kit fabric because I am not a big fan of using Aida. And no, nothing against it. If you like it, you use it, but I'm not a big fan. It's too stiff for me. So I found, and I also, this is also a full coverage piece. I didn't want to do full coverage, so I'm taking out the worn bits Like if this was a canvas, it would be the worn bits. And I found a piece at my local needlework shop that looked old, and maybe it looks like the shroud. I don't know. That may be blasphemous. Anyway, so I'm taking out all this, and most of this background is Kreinik stuff. It's not quite Kreinik, but it's similar. Oh, so she's gonna maybe be cursed when I'm done with her, because she's beautiful. But using these little sparkly colors, and most of these are sparkly, like even the dark brown is sparkly. She's gonna have a halo, but using those threads, she may be cursed. But this is for my pastor. My pastor loves old, what are they called? What are those things called? Figures, or it's not a tableau. Anyway, they're usually like wooden, comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. They're usually wooden scenes that are painted and carved, Bible scenes, and she really likes those. And I didn't want to buy one. So I found one that looked very similar and as a cross stitch, and so I'm making that for her. Although she's not very crafty, so I don't think she really appreciates the time it takes. But she's worth it. She's a great preacher. All right. The next one is Blackberry by Royalist. I don't know. And it's on 28 count Jobelan, and I think it's some sort of, I think it's wood smoke or something like that. I will, if you want to know what the color is, I will send me a comment and I will answer that. We're doing 2/2 with the called for DMC. And I started parking. This is one of the very first charts that I bought, and I tried the parking method. It's not for me. Again, those of you who can do the parking method and it works well for you, more power to you, but I didn't like it. And maybe it's just because I didn't try it long enough, but oops. I didn't cross that leg right there. Those aren't lady stitches. They don't have crossed legs. I'm going to have to go and finish that. Good catch. Good catch, those of you who saw it before me. All right. So I did have a page finish on that a couple months back. The next one is also one of my favorite WIPs. It was the first one I used 56 count on. And I love it. And while I have young eyes, I'm going to continue to have most of it on higher count fabric. But it's Growth Rings by Ink Circles on 56 count cream that I got from eBay. I'm not sure what the manufacturer is, although it has an orange stripe through it, which have been told means something, but I'm not sure what it means. It's 1/2 with an XJU variegated silk and a Silken Colors silk I'm using. Here it is. So this is the XJU design, and that came in a variety pack that she had. And then the Silken Colors, that's true, is kind of like made for the XJU silk, because it's the XJU is light pinks and purples and greens, and the Silken Colors is almost exactly like that. It has a little bit more blue in it. Just darker. It's like this one, this silk sat out in the sun and got bleached to this one. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And I'm a little over a fourth of the way done. This one could be done this year, but I don't know. It's beautiful. I may take this one. I'm going to be flying to Texas here and then Seattle this summer for a family visit. I may take that one on the plane. I don't know. The next one, the last of the WIP parade, is Quaker Seasons of Friendship by R&R Reproductions. It's on 40 count, hand dyed by Rolanda. Hand dyed by Rolanda. She's on Etsy. She does beautiful work. I have several of her pieces. And it's 1/2 with a silken color silk. I think it's called Chimney Sweep. I thought about just framing the fabric because it's so pretty. I love Quakers. Fun fact, Quakers as a religion don't actually call themselves Quakers. They call themselves Friends. So Quaker Seasons of Friendship. Is there a pun in there somewhere? I don't know, maybe. I always look for puns. So. My dad was raised Quaker, so. But here it is. Very little progress. But look at this fabric by Rolanda. Just so pretty. I love it. It kind of looks like a watercolor. See, you could just frame that. Alrighty. That was the last of the WIP parade. I do have one more thing I've worked on, but it's a special thing. One more cross stitch that I've worked on, but it's special. So I did a special slide here. And it's the Sal. So it's Spring Quakers, Rosewood Manor by Rosewood Manor on 36 count fortnight fabric monthly. You can look at my Instagram if you want to see what it's called. It's hard to see, hard to read. It's 1/2 with a Leo and Roxy conversion. The Sal is L&R Spring Quakers Sal, and I'm co-hosting it with Caroline from Off the Grid, and that's on it. And her website is evertote.com. She's, I think she's probably the reason I've got so many new followers, so I appreciate her. And she does beautiful work. She's actually the reason I started trying the higher count fabric. Because she works on 40 count a lot. And when I looked up 40 count, I saw that there was 56 count. And I'm like, well, if 40 count's good, 56 count's going to be good too, right? Right? That's logical. Anyway, but I am quite a bit ahead of her in the Sal, which is not a competition. But, you know, I couldn't put this down. I had so much fun with it. I completed Quaker Diamonds, also by Rosewood Manor, a couple weeks back. And those motifs seem to just last forever, but these go really fast. So if you've been looking at these and concerned that it would take forever, these little mini finishes have been really nice to do. So here's where mine is. So I've got 1, 2, and almost 3 pages done. So, woohoo! But these Leo and Roxy flosses work so well. And Caroline is doing it on a warmer color way, on a bigger count with 2 strands of floss. And it's so interesting how the colors change and play differently. But I just love it. I have been a little, not jealous, but I have been intrigued by how saturated the flosses look with 2/2. I just don't like doing 2/2, so I am happy with my progress. Obviously, I love it. It's beautiful, but it's interesting to see the differences. I did switch these two colors, so I'm more of a purple fan, if you hadn't noticed. And the initial was charted in the reddish color here, and then the buds, the reddish color, were in purple, and I switched those. And L is for Libby. Woohoo! So pretty. But if you need the conversion, or you've been inspired to it, here's my conversion. If you buy the kit from Caroline, I'm not sponsored by her, by the way. I just think she's a wonderful woman and doing wonderful things. So anyway, if you buy the kit, you'll get everything listed on the left here side of a slash. So steel. I thought steel was a little too gray on my cold fabric, so I chose to substitute steel out with Cinderella. On a warm fabric, it looks gorgeous. The steel does. It looks bluer, but on a cold fabric like mine, it looks too gray in my opinion. So that's the only substitution I made. And here's a motif with Cinderella in it. It's kind of getting washed out right now. There's another one. But these Leo and Roxy flosses are just gorgeous and so much fun to use. Okay, I have been doing a little bit of other crafting. And I took a couple of classes for tablet weaving and inkle loom weaving, which is this. And oops, go back. And I finished a band, and I had said last time that I was going, like, what do you do with these bands when you're done with them? And so I figured out, I intentionally did the band in a color that would look good with one of my cross stitches, and I put it on my drum. So this is the band I wove. And it looks super cute on my drum. Out a little bit. I think it looks really good. This is actually, fun fact, this is the back of the piece. I liked the back better than the front. So just because one way is the front doesn't mean you have to use it. You don't have to follow no rules. All right. The other thing that I did this month was I have been quilting. I had lost my quilty bug a little bit, and you can see part of the quilt behind me. See it? It's called a double Irish chain is what it's called. And I'm going to show you some of the pieces that I've done. And then we will be done with the YouTubes. Okay. All right. So this is one of the blocks that I've finished. I love this dark purple, like eggplant color. And it's variegated. It like looks like a piece of marble. And it's so rare to find this color, like this dark purple in quilting fabric, which is terrible because that's my favorite color, right? So when I found this color, I bought a whole bunch of it. And what do you do when you have a whole bunch of a color? You use it in the background. And so I had to find a quilt pattern that uses a lot of background. And so how a double Irish chain is, and Daniel will my brother will insert a picture of what it looks like. But you alternate between these two rows, these two types of blocks here. So this would go all the way around, and it looks like a big chain of these pieces. And it's really pretty. And I didn't want to have all of the background blocks to be plain, so I added a double square and a square block here with a similar background fabric. But I love it. It's so pretty. This is going to be one of my favorite quilts, I think. I will definitely show it to you when it's done. But... all right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, share, subscribe. I'm looking forward to hitting that 500 subscriber mark and doing a giveaway. And I'd love to hit 1,000 at some point and maybe get a little bit of monetization, because my brother is editing videos right now for free, and I'd like to be able to pay him a little bit for his time. So anyway, I hope everyone has a good rest of July, and probably I may film in August, but I am going out of town in August. So we'll see. We'll see. If not, I will see you in September. Have an exciting and fun month, and thanks for joining me. I should probably script this closeout. Thanks for joining me, and have fun stitching. Bye.